We are backstage at Lollapalooza with Perry and Etty Farrell. Thank you both so much for your time today.
Of
We're
course. Thank
happy
you
to
for
be
coming
here.
out.
Thank you for coming
Yes.
out for
This
us.
the 20th anniversary of Lollapalooza here in Chicago. It feels like just yesterday that I was walking down the street, excited to see the Killers. They're back for this year again. I mean, this is it's incredible what you guys have done for the city.
You know, the 20th anniversary is when we went to the 4 days.
Yeah.
And it was so successful. And it's a lot to set up. 3 days is just not enough, right?
No.
So we've kept the 4 days and it's been going great. So that was the first time we did 4 days and we've kept the tradition.
That is amazing. I just saw the documentary, Lala, the story of Lollapalooza. 3 episodes. You get to see, from the '90s to the early 2000s to, what it's become here in Chicago. Tell me a little bit about that process of, seeing all the archival video and just, kind of reliving all those moments and putting it in this documentary together.
What I thought was most funny was the fact that CNN knew nothing about it. Like, no footage from CNN, only from MTV. And now on television, when you see like the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, CNN has,
Oh, you mean
and
when they do those
it-
specials? They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
include us.
It's as if Lollapalooza never existed because they missed it because we were so underground
Yeah.
that they didn't bother to come out to see what was going on.
There is a wonderful part. I believe it's in the second part of the series, where they interview a young girl at the festival who says, "I'm 15 years old. This is the best night of my life. I hope this continues forever, and I hope one day I'm 50 years old and still coming here." And like, there's so many people that grew up in the '90s that went to the original, and like, they're actually 50 and like actually doing that.
And we now have the next generation of their children, and I think it was so important. I don't know how old you are. For me, I was Gen X, right? So I felt like with Perry, he really gave Gen X a voice, a beacon that we can all concentrate on. We were the first generation where both parents were working, but a lot of the childcare hadn't caught up. We were the ones that were the least
Attended.
parented generation in all of history. And out came Perry Farrell and said, "You do belong, you are loved." And we feel loved. Thank you, Perry.
And we feel love. We felt love the first time we came here. We felt the love in Chicago. We feel the love, today. Does this feel like an extra birthday or New Year's or like a holiday celebration, getting to see all the artists, getting to see all the fans? Like, what is this day like for you at this festival like for you?
When I see all the people cheering to the musicians, I mean, musicians, let me tell you, we live a tough life. A normal day for a musician is a very rough day. You don't make a lot of money,
We just did 22 cities in 6 weeks in Europe.
but
So, yes.
you've got politicians, and half of them are just saying gibberish just so that you concentrate on them and focus on them. And the people hear what they have to say, roars of approval, and so much more truthful. And for that, I'm thankful. I think that's probably the best thing that we did was we unite people.
Yeah. No, definitely. Let's talk about a couple of acts. Chappell Roan, who was a fantastic artist when the lineup came out, now had just blown up over the summer. You could barely even get a spot because there were so many people out to see her. I mean, talk a little bit about like some of those artists that you book that are just kind of on the rise, and by the time Lollapalooza gets here, they've just explode.
There's for many years I've wanted to bring symphonic music to Lala. I just knew that they would dig it. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, there's Laffy. She's a young girl. I was talking to a fellow booking agent, and there was this little girl, and I was just thanking the booking agent for making the move to actually literally find a symphony, and this little girl goes, "Oh, I know Laffy." This little girl, she said, "I love Laffy, and I listen to her music, and she's made me cry."
We cannot wait for that performance.
And you know, a lot, like for example, Lady Gaga, many, many years ago, started at the BMI stage, which is a tiny little stage, maybe 300 people. She was a brunette, and we do remember she used our trailer to do her photo shoot, and we showed up and we said, "Who is that?" That just had racks and racks and racks
She
of
pulled up in a
clothes.
she showed up in a U-Haul.
Or like
I thought I was like the most well-dressed guy
she
on the
had
grounds that day.
racks of
And
clothes.
I swear to you, we were walking and I see them start to take the clothes out of the U-Haul, and I go, that's 3, 4, that's 5 racks. You need 5 racks. I go, she's gonna blow us away just because her clothes have to be stunning.
But many years later, she came back to headline, and you know she wanted a bigger stage. We accommodated that. But I thought it's nice because you just never know. Even some of the artists are starting out where they end up years ago, and it's nice to give them a springboard
Yeah.
to get to that next level.
And if
know?
you watch the documentary, you get to see the archival video of Lady Gaga, and you get to see that 2007 performance, 2010 when she headlined. She has a new album that's coming out, maybe 2025. Maybe make that phone call. Maybe
Yes, and also
that wasn't a no. That wasn't a no, everybody. That was not a no.
And Green Day many
Yeah.
years ago started on the second stage
Yeah.
in the afternoon with maybe
Yeah.
30 to 50 people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, so I think it's just so good that
Didn't
Lollapalooza
we
for a
just
long time
play
gave
with
them a
them?
place. Did we just play with them?
Yes,
Somewhere in
I
Europe at a
remem-
festival.
Yeah.
At a festival, somewhere.
yeah, we were just
One of the
like,
22
like-
cities.
I've got one more question. I think probably the best performance I've got to see, and the most iconic, where I saw the most people here celebrating multi-generationally, Paul McCartney.
Yes.
Oh my
Can we talk a little bit
goodness.
about how that happened and just that
Yeah.
experience of bringing him to a festival like this here in Chicago?
Well, ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to be a Beatle. I used to dress like the Beatles.
Really? Are you going to start crying?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, you're a little emotional.
I used to cut, like, my sister cut my hair in bangs, and I used to walk around school with a false British accent. One day the teacher went around the room and asked where you're from, and I lied. I told them I was from London, and I got myself a little pair of Beatle boots because they were so popular in those days.
What are they
Think-
called?
Winkle pickers.
Wing. Oh, okay.
Winkle pickers. It's
That's-
basically pointy-toed, and my big sister found a place that had them for kids, and
That is so cute. I'm
I
sorry.
would on weekends I would help my dad in New York City. I'd sit on a stool, and the ladies thought, this kid is so cute. I would sell for my dad because
I'd use you to sell to look, Lollapalooza, we're using you.
exactly.
To be,
Yes.
It works for us.
Yes.
You both are the best. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for all these wonderful years here of Lollapalooza, and especially making our city so beautiful and letting people create all these wonderful memories that they're going to cherish for a lifetime.